Hey folks, how you doing and welcome back to my channel. Now today we will talk about a Polar Ignite 2 as well as the Polar Vantage M2 and see where the differences are and which one is better in my opinion. So we will take a look at all of the specs, check out the features, how accurate they actually are and a lot more. Now I already covered both of these watches on my YouTube channel, so if you want to have an in-depth look into both of these sport watches, I will leave the link to the videos in the description below. Now with these two watches, Polar finishes is second generation of sport watches after they released the Polar Vantage V2 in late 2020. Now both of these watches were released just about 2 months ago and both of these watches have major upsides and downsides. But let's start with the pricing. The Polar Vantage M2 is the middle class model of the Polar brand and will cost you a whopping 299 euros, whereas the Polar Ignite only costs you 229. Now, I personally think both of these watches are a bit too expensive for the features that they offer, but we will get to that part later on in the video. Now, I guess that's all there's to say about the pricing, so let's head to the part of the design and the specs. The Ignite 2 has a 1.2-inch motion-activated color touchscreen with a resolution of 240 by 204 pixels, whereas the Vantage M2 only has a 1.2-inch hard-coated PMA laminated lens with a resolution of 240 by 240 pixels. Now, the funny thing about it is that the Polar Vantage M2 has a big 46mm case, whereas the Ignite 2 only has a 43mm case. The M2 also has no touchscreen, so you are navigating on this watch solely with the 5 physical buttons on the side of the watch. The 2 buttons on the right are for navigating up and down in the menu. The middle button to select anything, the top right for the display light, which you definitely need, and the lower right to get to your menu and back. The Ignite 2 only has 1 physical button to get to the menu and back, and I guess that's more than enough functions that you need. Also, the screen brightness of the Ignite 2 is higher than on the M2. And it's sometimes not that easy to read the clock on the M2, especially when you're outdoors in a bright daylight situation. I mean, the screen light helps a little bit, but it's still not that great. One thing these two watches have in common is the 5 days of battery life on normal usage or 20 hours if you have the GPS mode turned on, even though these two watches have different battery sizes. Now the Vantage M2 has a battery size of 230 milliamperes, whereas the Ignite 2 only has a battery size of 165 milliamperes. Now, I think it's pretty much self-explaining is that if you have more features, you need a bigger battery size. Just to complete the list, you have Bluetooth with both watches, you have built-in GPS, and they are water resistant up to 30 meters. Now the 22mm silicone bands on both watches feel pretty smooth, even though I think the one on the M2 is a little bit softer and through the big holes your skin can breathe a little bit better. If you got this far into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more smartwatch reviews or comparisons. Just say I'll subscribe down in the comment section below so I can come back at you later on. And now back to the video. Now that we got all of that out of the way, let's head to the features and the watch face use. So on both watches we have the weather widget and onboard music player, which is hands down the most important feature to me. So you can skip a track, go back a track, adjust the volume and play on pause. You can receive notifications, but keep in mind that you cannot reply to any messages. With these two watches you get a stopwatch and a timer, as well as the fitness test, which basically measures your VO2 max. Besides that, you have the daily activity on both watches, the heart rate, you see your latest training sessions, have the nightly recharge and the sleep tracker, and the FitSpark. Now to the things you do not get with the Polar Ignite 2. First up we have the Training Load Pro, which taps it to see how much you've been training lately and how much this training session strain the different parts of your body. You have the Polar Fuel Wise, which is a smart fueling assistant that helps you to find the optimal way to fuel your body during a long training session. Power Zones helps you to monitor your training intensities in your cycling and running workouts and to achieve the optimal training effects in these trainings. The zone lock keeps your training at a certain intensity. So with this one you can target and lock a certain heartbeat or speed, just for an example. And during your training, when you fall out of this preset heartbeat or speed, the watch will give you a quick visual and vibration feedback. Another feature you get is the back to start feature, which directs you to the starting point in the shortest possible way. And it even shows you the mileage or the distance to the starting point. And I think it's an actually very good feature that you can have on a smartwatch, since sometimes you want to go for a new route when you're walking or cycling, or you want to go to a new city or whatever, and you get lost sometimes, and with that feature you can always find back. Another little feature that you have is the race pace feature, which allows you to set a target for a speed or pace for a certain distance, and after you set it, it then helps you pacing the run or your ride by showing you the current speed or pace and how much you're behind of your set target. Now before we get to my opinion, there's one little feature that the Polar Vantage M2 does not have, but Ignite 2 has it, which is the heartbeat sensor mode. With the heartbeat sensor mode, you can use your watch to track your heartbeat data and live transfer these data to other devices via Bluetooth or compatible gym equipment or other Polar products. Wow, those are a bunch of features that you do not get with the Polar Ignite 2. I mean, they're all very sport specific, but what do we expect? We're talking about sport watches. So what is my opinion and which one would I get? So it's actually a very hard decision. I mean, I like the touch display on the Ignite 2 and that it has colors. But on the other side, I like the M2 since it's not lagging as much when you go through the tiles. Both watches have a music player, both have a decent GPS, but no internal storage. But I still would go with the Ignite 2 since I don't really need all these fitness features on M2. So that's why I would go with the Ignite 2. Now folks, that's already it for the video. If you like it, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more smartwatch reviews. It only takes 2 clicks, it's for free, and it will help me out a lot. With that being said, see you the next time. Peace.